For everyone listening, I am very sorry, but this will be the last episode of The Fluffy Atheist. I have finally found a video that has convinced me. Yes, I know, I'm very sorry. For all my viewers, I sincerely apologize. We have finally found one hell of a, diamond in the rough. Angel! Yeah, I'm still an atheist. This isn't the last episode, but this one is so stupid. I had to make the joke. Jules proving God exists has got to be right up there in the topmost stupid ideas for a God proof. This week's stupid video comes from the Kingdom Stories Films channel, and as soon as I saw it and heard the first few seconds, I wanted to research and talk about it. But for now, let's allow the author to make his claim.
This is how the gemstones in Revelation 21 and the jewels in Moses' time in Exodus 28 prove that God exists.
So, the stones he's talking about in Revelation are jasper, sapphire, agate, emerald, onyx, ruby, chrysolite, beryl, topaz, turquoise, jacinth, and amethyst. In Exodus, it is instead carnelian, chrysolite, beryl, turquoise, lapis lazuli, emerald, jacinth, agate, amethyst, topaz, onyx, and jasper. Of these two lists, chrysolite, beryl, turquoise, emerald, jacinth, agate, amethyst, topaz, onyx, and jasper are shared between the two lists, with emerald and ruby unique in Revelation, and carnelian and lapis lazuli in Exodus. This is from the NIV version of the Bible. It can be argued by some scholars that the red stone in Revelation is actually carnelian, but they are different words in the original text, so I find that very unlikely. We will let him continue on for now, though.
This modern-day discovery proves that the Bible was written by God and not man. This revelation will shock you.
Every claim that's made by channels like this are supposed to be shocking. I have a feeling I'm going to be greatly disappointed instead of shocked.
Science has only just now caught up with what was written in the scriptures 2,000 years ago.
Well, I'm certainly glad we can catch the fuck up to this guy's rock garden.
These jewels prove the existence of God.
We're on the edge of our seats, I assure you. No, really, we are. Just what? Oh, just a sec. Okay, now I'm on the edge of my seat.
Watch this. The New Jerusalem, as laid out in Revelation 21, will be made up of 12 precious stones that we would make into jewelry today. Now here's the fascinating thing, which to me is the final proof that that Bible is the Word of God, that it must be God-inspired. In the last generation only, we've discovered how to make purer light than we had before.
Okay. And your point is what?
Most light is bouncing around, light waves crashing into each other, going in all different directions. For example, the light coming from a spotlight still lights the opposite side of my face by reflecting off walls and surfaces.
Yes, light is going to do that. It's a property of all light that it will reflect off objects. If it didn't, we wouldn't be able to see anything. For example, have a look at the eyes on my costume. Zoom in. They are painted with a pigment that only reflects certain wavelengths of light, so that blue is reflected back into the camera. If I turned on a purely red light, my eyes would actually appear black, since there wouldn't be any blue wavelengths to reflect that light. The red light would just be absorbed by the pigment. To get this effect, you would need to be in a place that doesn't have any trace light coming in, so only the red light is shining. You can try this trick at home. But we're getting off on one of my little tangents here. We want to get back on track.
Light comes at us from all directions, but we've now discovered how to send light in one direction.
Great, we're proving God with cat toys now. Or better yet, I know what he's going to do. He's going to get Gordon Freeman and put a laser through a rock to open a portal to another dimension.
But we've also got what we call cross-polarized light. A polarized filter allows light through in that same way, but if you put another polarized filter at a right angle to that, now you've got an extremely fine filter. In the same way, if you take sunglasses and take one lens and put it at right angles to the other, it goes even darker. It only lets very straight light through.
Cross-polarized light. Okay, so I should probably talk about this before he gets it wrong, inevitably. So, most of the light that you see is going to be unpolarized. Your average UV sunglasses have polarizing filters on them to help protect your eyes from harmful light. If you take, say, two filters both polarized and set the polarization perpendicular to each other, no light will get through. It's not a perfect science because what happens is some of the wavelengths of light will realign themselves to the new polarization. If it only lets the specific wavelength through, it would be too dark to just let the first turn on the filter. If you have two going opposite, the end result would be no light. And the third in between the other two, and you will get light again, as long as the polarization doesn't match one of the other two filters. It is used to remove glare in camera photography, as well as reflective surfaces like lake surfaces in metal will polarize light reflecting off of them. So the two lenses don't just get darker, it closes off light and realigns the wavelengths. Besides, I don't like light going straight. Just doesn't vibe with me.
Now people have taken jewels and precious stones and cut a very thin slice for microscopic purposes and then shone cross-polarized light through them to see what happens. What happens to these precious stones in pure light?
Most likely a prism effect, but unlike a crystal from, say, a diamond, where the prism is shown when the light passes through the stone, the prism stays within the stone in the case of an anisotropic gem, mainly because they're opaque for the most part. When you would see that one is clearer, one can then see the rainbow of colors inside the gem if you get a polarized light source like off of a reflective surface. People have been doing this for thousands of years, and only recently have we started studying on why this happens.
One of two entirely different things happens with every jewel. Either the jewel is an isotropic jewel or an anisotropic jewel. Now what happens is this. Some jewels in pure light, whatever their color, they may be red, blue or green, these jewels turn into all the colors of the rainbow and the most fantastic patterns. Other precious stones in pure light lose all their color and just go black and look like a lump of coal dust. And it's only in this modern generation that people have discovered this unusual property.
And this is why this is silly as fuck. Even in pure light, the isotropic gems will still cause a prism effect on light that passes through them. And we haven't actually just found out about these gems, but instead we started studying them recently. So even way back when the Bible was written, the people that wrote it knew of this property, even if this is actually why they were in the biblical list. However, ruby is listed in the foundation stones in Revelation. So yes, while the diamond won't be as pretty under a microscope, it is very beautiful when seen through the more natural lights rather than the reflective light. Why the author chose these gems specifically, we may never know, but what we do know is that you don't have to have modern scientific knowledge to see the gem's properties.
Diamonds in pure light are nothing. Did you hear that? Diamonds are nothing. In pure light, diamonds just display a lump of coal dust. Rubies and garnets are like diamonds. They just lose everything.
This is blatant misinformation. In pure light, the diamond will still prismatically display a rainbow. And in pure light, a thick wall of the 12 gems will be opaque and show no light through them. That's the point here. These stones are in Revelation and Exodus are, for the most part, opaque gemstones. Regardless, the light that would come in from outside the walls of New Jerusalem would show more colors if they went through a prismatic gem like diamonds. Also, the diamond, being the hardest material known to man, would make the walls of the city highly durable. Instead, we have the 12 materials ranging from sapphire at 9 on the Mohs hardness scale to a very weak chrysolite at just 2.5 hardness, meaning it is so weak and fragile it can be scratched with your fingernail, while most of the others are still quite pliable to the tools they had at the time.
These jewels are isotropic, but there are other stones that are anisotropic and they display these intense, beautiful colors. Now, here's the fascinating thing that blew my mind and I've never recovered. The 12 precious stones that God uses to build the New Jerusalem are all anisotropic.
Except the ruby they had on that list. But even giving the benefit of the doubt, humanity already knew of these properties, so of course the people that write the Bible would have gone into details with some unique stones. And the holy stones in the 2 books of the Bible are not the same ones. They made a mistake, which is more evidence that the book is not an inspired work and a human error instead.
In pure light, they are all exceedingly more beautiful. And God is light. So, imagine God's light shining through these anisotropic jewels. God doesn't touch the diamonds or the rubies or the garnets. He doesn't build the New Jerusalem with them.
So what you're saying is, God's an egotist. What he just said is that God is so conceited that instead of building the city strong and well fortified, he holds more value in making himself prettier to his subjects.
Look at the top 12 stones on this picture, and you'll see the stones of the New Jerusalem. Look at the 4 bottom ones at the bottom of the picture, and you'll see they're black, no attraction whatsoever. Now then, who knew this 2,000 years ago? No scientist knew it, no philosopher knew it, nobody knew it. John the Apostle, writing down the book of Revelation as the Lord dictated it to him, he didn't know. Nobody knew except one person in the entire universe, the one who created all things, God himself.
Yes, of course we knew it. We just didn't know why these gems, when polished up, did it. And they would polish them because they were pretty and did pretty things in the light. That was the entire point of why they were seen as valuable and not just average rocks. To the untrained eye, these rocks are just that, rocks. So, why were they valuable at all to these ancient people? Because they knew they made pretty colors, even way back then. Again, we're only just in the past few hundred years trying to figure out why these gems have these properties. Not that we had no idea that these gems had these properties.
But God has known the properties of diamonds and other isotropic gemstones all along. And God was his New Jerusalem to be an extraordinary kingdom of light displayed through the only jewels that will magnify the light. This one thing alone proves that the Bible was inspired by God, because nobody could have known this.
In reality, it shows nothing, just that the writers saw the properties of these rocks as valuable. But why really are these stones, the stones found in Revelation? Well, our subject actually clues us in.
Now, what's even more fascinating is that the jewels listed in Revelation 21, written by John 2,000 years ago, was not the first time we heard of these jewels. In order to find the original source of this particular collection of jewels, we need to go back 1,300 years before Christ, all the way back to the time of Moses. Back in Exodus 28, verse 17 through 21, God told Moses to write down the 12 gemstones that were to be on the breastplate of the high priest as he would minister in the tabernacle in the holy place.
Yep, that's right. They're the same stones in Exodus. Well, not really. They are slightly different stones, as I mentioned at the start of the show. The stones represent the 12 tribes of Israel. The real reason they are mostly the same stones is because they are lesser gemstones, and the original writers saw the lights within the stones, but they were still just stones. So they used them to represent the 12 tribes not having any idea what the word anisotropic meant, just that these semi-precious stones had a similar quality to one another. Now the best part of all of this? He admits to it all being known way back then, when the Bible was first written, right at the end of the video.
Now inside the tabernacle of Moses, it was completely dark, except for the light of the lampstand, the menorah. Imagine how the light from the menorah would pass through the gemstones on the priest's breastplate. What a sight to behold!
Ooh, drama.
I am Corsi, this is the Fluffy Atheist. Pet those like and subscribe buttons, and remember, if you faith around, I will help you find out what your Bible really says.